What's up, friends and future friends? Welcome to a new Alphastar video. Today we'll be looking at the Alphastar Zerg edition. This is one of the few ZVPs that looked kind of appealing, as it was longer than 10 minutes. There's one more that is 20 minutes, which is against the Cannon Rush, but this one definitely looked the coolest. So I figured I'd have a look at this one, see how the Zerg does things, and of course also see how this Protoss does things, as he is facing off against a Grandmaster player, Grandmaster Protoss, who is pylon scouting on Kingscough. Now, usually you'd say pylon scouting on Kingscough is kind of useless, as this map is so long that even when you scout after pylon, you should never be able to block a 16 hatchery or even a 17 hatchery. As you can see, the probe will arrive way too late to block, arrives at 55 seconds. And the hatchery just goes down easily. So you just lost 60 minerals for nothing. Because the only thing a pylon scout really does is the ability to block this kind of hatchery. And it costs about 50-60 minerals to send it out this early. So that's just money you're never going to see back in your life. So congratulations, Toast. You're now behind for no reason. We also see that Alphastar opened up with 17 hatch, even though 16 hatch is the standard. So that's interesting. It makes the queens line up a little nicer for injects. So that's one of the reasons why we usually see 16 hatch. Protoss player managed to grab some minerals. No real drone harass going on. I would have loved to see some real drone harass, but sadly already grabbed the mineral, so we won't be seeing that. I mean, this is still nice, but Alphastar just pulls 3 drones and basically chases him out. Core on the way for our Grandmaster player. We'll also core at 21, which also isn't quite the standard. Usually core at 20 is what you want to do. Assimilator and going into that second pylon. So this all looks very standard from both players. Very human-like game from Alphastar so far. I think this is a fake, as he can't really expand at this point. I mean, he only has 200 minerals on him right now. We also don't see a third Overlord as of yet, which is rather surprising, as he's gonna be bumping straight into a supply block. There we go. So Overlord coming the moment he gets supply block rather than beforehand. Now we see one larva is idling because of this, another larva on the natural. Usually you want to get your Overlord at 27 out of 28 supply, so you can start these 2 larvae either into links or into drones, and then get a 30 hatchery going. It's not what Alphastar is going for. Alphastar also opening up with 6 links actually. Rather late links, I have to admit. And this is a very interesting pylon block. I like it. He sees that there's no links. If I was the Protoss player, I just wait a little bit with cancelling this pylon, try to chase the drone out, and most likely you're going to be completely fine. Yeah, that's a free drone kill there. Now you cancel, and you can micro a little bit against these links, which also is nice. It's not the brightest micro. Oh, this adapt sees 4 more links pop, which, if I saw this, I would be thinking, alright, this is definitely a link flood, right? I've seen 6 links already. There's 4 more pop just now. There's no third base yet that I'm aware of. Like, my head would be thinking, alright, this is a link flood, and so does our Grandmaster player. Now, I don't really like his response, honestly. 2 batteries in this case is not necessary. 1 battery would be enough. Hell, even, I think especially if you're opening Oracle, you might not even need a single battery, and just chrono boosting out another adept might be good enough. 2 batteries is rather expensive. He also completely cut worker production. So even though Alphastar built, well, what is it, 14 links, even if he isn't going to do any damage with this, I think it still was worth it, honestly. A lot of time and money was invested into getting those extra structures, into cutting workers. And right now there's only a slight worker lead for the Protoss, so not completely even, but it's a relatively good situation for how bad the early game of Alphastar was. He already has blind spores going up. Well, I guess he saw the Oracle, so it's not really blind. How many queens are we at? 3 queens so far. No Roach Warren or Evo Chamber on the way. I'm also very surprised that we're not seeing any second or third gas yet. Usually you'd see these come around at this point before you transfer over to your third base. 1 queen trying to defend this drone transfer, not really gonna work. A couple of drones falling already. This is very expensive here for Alphastar. We'll be losing 5-6 drones. Yeah, 7 drones going down, and a queen goes down. 1 Oracle still going absolutely wild. Would have been able to kill all of these drones as well, actually. I'm not sure why he went back. Yeah, queens are completely out of position. Alphastar is doing this absolutely awful. How many drones have fallen already? 16, 17 drones go down in the first 5 minutes of the game. I think in any game this would be pretty much game over. I'm not a massive fan of the Protoss' follow-up. As you see, he's going into his gases late. His third bait is really late because he opted to go for 5 adept. And of course these batteries really delayed everything as well. Big supply block as well by the Protoss here, look at that. Has to throw down 2 pylons with this probe. Alphas are completely out of position with these links though. It's nice to harass your opponent on the other side of the map, but there's nothing to deal with these adepts now at home. These adepts should just be targeting down drones, will instead be going for this one queen, which is a weird move. Adepts take really long to kill queens, and the queens aren't that important at this point. Drones are really what you want to be killing. Oracles are not helping out, still just idling in the middle of the map. Third base finally does go down at 6 minutes. If I would play a triple Oracle opener like this with 4 or 5 adepts, I think my third can go down at 4:25, 4:30. So it's a solid minute and a half late here by our Grandmaster Protoss player for no real reason except I guess these 2 batteries would delay it by 10 seconds, but just basically a minute and 20 or a minute and 15 seconds more delayed than it should have been. I'm also not a massive fan of opening up Prism first, especially if you already built so many adepts. He's not quite aware what follow-up or what tech there is. He only saw a fort base, did he? Yeah, he did see a fort base, but that was even after he saw the Prism. The Prism doesn't give any safety. A Prism is good if the game goes longer and there's no all-in, but I think one Immortal first for safety is always good, or even just start with an Observer to get your scouting game up, you know? Just get an Observer here, see what's popping from these eggs, see how many drones are transferring, that kind of stuff is extremely helpful. We finally have our third base being saturated for the Protoss player. Big Ling run by, however, we'll be able to pick off a couple of these workers, I believe. 3-4 workers going down. Warpin shouldn't be able to do much against all of these Lings. Oracles will have to get pulled back. Now we have another big attack with adepts, which in my mind shouldn't really do anything anymore at this point. There's a bunch of Lings here already. There's a couple of roaches on the way. I mean, attacking a fort base. These guys don't have glaives, or resonating glaives, which means they will take about 3 years to finish off this hatchery. Yeah, now just the Lings come back. A couple of roaches will be able to join. Queen should be able to come in as well. Doesn't finish this one. I feel like finishing the shape might have been worth it. We do have +1 and charge on the way, but still not a single Immortal. And we do have roaches on the field. Do we have any kind of tech actually? No, we're still on layer tech. 4 gases, no 3 gases even. So this is a complete all-in here by Alphastar. However, he really has nothing to deal with the Oracles. Unless he decides to pull the queens forward as well, but these seem to be content spreading creep at the moment. This is such a bad push out by the Protoss, completely unaware of what his opponent is doing. Sees the fort, and he's like, oh, he's probably playing macro, but meanwhile there's no gases in the main, there's no gas at the third base, there's not a single upgrade, and there's not even layer done. So he should start to realize right now that he's most likely being all-in after he saw this big army with his Oracles. As a response, we'll start building a couple of batteries, gets a stasis ward, and finally starts Immortal production. But this is so late. Starting Immortal production at 8 minutes against a Roach opener, that's absolute suicide. Like, it makes absolutely no sense. Oh, the Queen's actually being pulled. It's very funny to see. This is such a human-like move. For some reason, whenever I see this kind of stuff, I never expected Alphastar to be able to do this. I figured they just attack and just lose everything against the air units, but I guess I'm not giving the Alphastar enough credit in that case. A couple more stasis wards going down. I would love to see 2-3 cannons just go down behind here, or one over here, just for some extra DPS, as really you have the money, you just don't have the gateways and the infrastructure to spend it. And in that kind of case, static defense is always really good. And you have plenty of batteries. The only thing you're really lacking in this army is some DPS. So 2-3 cannons here would do absolute wonders. Some poor micro by our Grandmaster player, just walking into his own force fields as well now, which means that he's gonna lose a bunch of zealots for free. Starting +2, so he's being confident that he can hold, but I'm not too confident about that. This army looks big, and sure, it's a big ramp to break, but the DPS of the army is rather low. I mean, there's 2 Immortals, there's a couple of Archons, but none of them will be able to fire at the same time, especially with the Zealots. The army supply is still a lot bigger here for Alphastar, and there's so many Ravagers, and there's no real room to move. Once the Alphastar breaks this ramp, Biles will just rain down onto our Protoss player, and it will be extremely difficult to micro. So the task for the Protoss here really is to just keep this area taken. The moment Alphastar gets to go up, yeah, this was really bad. This is not supposed to happen. You're supposed to stand up here so that he can never get up and start biling you, so that you have to keep microing, losing all your DPS. And that's just what's gonna happen now. We see a couple of Biles raining down, and every single time a Bile basically goes up, you need to move your army away. You lose all your DPS. We see 2 Oracles trying to do some work, but they just fall. I mean, there's 7 Queens. All of them have a couple of Transfuses ready. And there is +1, +2 is about to be finished, but right now it's starting to look very, very bad for our Protoss player, even though he had all the information in his hands and just was out of position for half a second, and then the Ravagers come up. It's over, man. You can't make a mistake like that. How many Ravagers actually is this? 12 Ravagers going to town, completely going wild. Bunch more links, taking down all the workers at this 3rd base, and this 3rd is gone. I think as a toss at this point, you kind of gotta realize, alright buddy, this is over. I can't take this 3rd anymore. Perhaps I can do a counter attack, perhaps with some DTs. There is a Spore, but there's still no Lair, so Lair finally on the way now at the 6th base of Alphastar. Who doesn't know it? The good old 55 drone 6 base roach all in. Probably actually built the bases for Larva because he just... No, I thought he wouldn't have any queens here because they would all be here, but he actually does have queens at home, so then I don't know what these extra bases are for. So we see a lot more Biles going down. And I mean, this army is very powerful, don't get me wrong. There's +2 on this, so they will be able to fight relatively well against this. Link should be completely useless. Even Ravagers to a certain extent kind of suck against this army, but... I mean, the army is just so big of the Alphastar here, right? There's 40 more army supply. There's no real meat in front of this army either. Like, the army itself is the meat. There's no, like, 5-6 Zealots, the tank. Which would be fantastic here at chasing Ravagers as well, if you have, like, 6-7 Zealots with charge. He's actually doing a decent job in this fight. Meanwhile, in his main base, though, there's well, about 500 links going absolutely mental, killing every single worker that ever existed. A couple of Zealots and 1 Immortal are being used to deal with that, but a lot of workers went down already. Right now, our Grandmaster player is going down to 27 worker, which is technically 1 base economy. And he's moving across the map, which I honestly don't mind so much. I mean, he needs to do something. Might as well go for a desperation attack, right? So just move your way across the map and pray to God that your opponent forgets the micro. Like, your army isn't that big, but you do have +2. And actually, there's not even a prism. Honestly, I think this game is just kind of over. He's gonna try it, I guess. But I don't really see this happen. I mean, his worker count is so low. Going back is definitely the worst call, though. Or maybe he's just meeting up with the rest of his army. There we go. Meeting up with the rest of the army. A couple of extra Templar going. Getting started. We'll be morphing into Archons to deal with the links. So what's the army of Alphastar right now? We have 31 Roaches, 4 Ravagers and 22 links. There's 8 Immortals, however. So I'm not saying it's possible, but with +2 upgrades, maybe it is. If you don't stand in the Biles for too long. Nah, okay, this army might just be way too big. Oh my god, 2 Archons will be able to join, but absolutely getting devoured by this massive Roach ball. That wasn't even close. Some weird stutter step coming out as well, losing a lot of DPS doing that as he's not doing it correctly. GG gets called and Alphastar actually wins with this weird no layer mass Roach 6 bases style. Absolutely fantastic. Alright boys, I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, feel free to subscribe, like, leave a comment below, and I'll see you boys tomorrow for a new video. Bye bye.